Jailed Russian opposition leader and President Vladimir Putin's critic, Alexei Navalny, has been missing for 6 days after a serious health-related incident, according to his associates as per media reports. This comes just as Vladimir Putin begins his presidential re-election campaign. Navalny is being held in a penal colony east of Moscow and has been sentenced to more than 30 years in prison on what he calls fabricated accusations to suppress his criticism of Putin. According to his aides, Navalny's lawyers had remained outside the penal colony all day but were denied entry to see him after he collapsed in his prison cell. He also did not appear at scheduled legal hearings about his case. Navalny's press secretary, Yami, said the lawyers were informed that the 47-year-old was neither at IK6 or IK7 penal colonies. As per reports, he was last jailed in the IK6 penal colony, as we said, east of Moscow. The lawyer added, the fact that we can't find Alexei is particularly worrying because he fell ill in his cell last week. He got dizzy and fell on the floor. The colony staff came over immediately, lowered the cot, laid Alexei down and gave him an IV. We don't know what it was. But given the fact that he has not been fed, is being kept in a punishment cell with no ventilation, and the time for walks has been reduced to a minimum, it looks like a hunger feint. Since this incident, the lawyers have seen Alexei and he has been relatively well, but now it's the third day that we don't know where he is. Before that, there were at least occasional letters from him, albeit censored ones, but there have been no letters at all this week, said the lawyer. Navalny has experienced long-term health problems after being poisoned with a nerve agent in Siberia in 2020. According to Reuters, the Kremlin has denied trying to kill him and refuses to comment on his case, saying he's treated like any other prisoner. After being found guilty of multiple offences, including sponsoring extremist activities, the 47-year-old was sentenced to 19 years in jail in August. He was already serving an 11.5-year sentence in a high-security prison for several accusations, including fraud, all of which he denies. Additionally, he has spent at least 21 times in an isolation cell. According to the Moscow Times, after 3 of Navalny's attorneys were detained in October this year, his team issued a warning that Russian authorities intended to increase their control over his communication outside of prison. Just last week, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced that he is running for a 5th term. He has, over the past 2 decades, built a system of domestic repression and confrontation with the West that's almost certain to guarantee his re-election. His grip on power further tightened in the wake of his decision to invade Ukraine in February last year, with public dissent against the war effectively silenced through lengthy prison terms for all critics.